Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. This is your first time? Welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Today, well, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing some work on the camper. Why? Yeah, we had a blowout. We lost a tire on the way home. Did a little damage to the camper, not horrible, but we're going to take this opportunity to do a couple other things while we're at it. So, here we are with our spare. You can see when the tire blew, the metal up underneath, she took the brunt of it, which is good. It also peeled this flare off completely, so we need to address that. Up the cover off the light, but you know, that's minor. We got the flare back. We're going to be replacing all 4 of the tires. Reason I'm doing that is if you look at this one, see how the sidewalls are worn down on it, and there's still plenty of tread here, and that's at full pressure. Now if we go around to the other side, you can see what the flare is supposed to look like, but more importantly, see the tires? They're not worn down and they're pretty much flat. They do have some bulge to them, but they're not horrible. We're replacing all 4 because I don't want to have mismatched tires on there. And what we're going to do, if I'm not mistaken, the 2 on this side of the camper look like they're okay. Okay, not great. But right here, this is actually my spare tire for my dump trailer. If you notice, it is a spare. You can actually see the radial right there. So I need a new spare for the dump trailer, because I think it was a wing and a prayer that we were able to get home on that tire without having more issues with that tire. So inside the camper, if you haven't seen it before, this is inside. Inside the camper, this whole wall slides out. Well, when they were putting it together, they apparently missed putting down some adhesive on the floor, and this corner caught it and ripped it up. So it started to rip it. I then cut it so that it wouldn't rip anymore, and then it basically peels up. So we're going to go ahead, clean this up. Yeah, because none of this floor has any adhesive on it. We're going to go ahead and clean this up. By that I mean we're going to vacuum, and then we're going to go ahead and re-adhere this so that in a couple days we can potentially put the slide back in without having to worry about the floor anymore. With that, there's our flare. So I guess we need to go ahead and start by getting an extension cord and a vacuum cleaner in here so that we can get, you know, that little gravel and whatnot out of there, because linoleum adhesive does not like to stick to dirt. Sticks to everything else, just not dirt. Now then, to do this, there are a couple specialty tools you're going to need. An extension roller, a trowel that does 1/16 ridges, which should be the rounded ones. We're probably going to go finer with it. So you see, you got square tooth, and then you got rounded. So we're probably going to use the smaller of them because we're doing this in the camper and we got very close tolerances. And then of course you're going to need an adhesive, resealable flooring adhesive. It's not going to take much. We're going to go ahead and put some up under this to help hold it down. I know some of you professionals are probably freaking out right now. Oh my God, you're doing it wrong. Well, probably. As long as it holds the floor down, that's what I'm concerned with. I'm going to lay this down. Use our roller. Give that a second and go grab something to wipe this up with. I'm going to go ahead and and give that a little time to cure. And then we're going to come back and check it one more time. So, when the tire blew, it took a pretty good whack. If you look here, you can see this metal, this aluminum I'm assuming it is pretty flat and pretty even. And over here, it's, well, pretty well concaved. So what we're going to try to do is straighten that out, as well as straighten this out a little, before we go ahead and try to seal it up a little bit better. Now to straighten it out, well, we're going to start with a simple solution, hammer. And then I also got a tire changing tool here. So this one, we can fit up underneath, bring this down, hopefully straighten it back out some. It ain't gonna be perfect, but then again, I'm sure this ain't gonna be our first flat tire, more than likely won't be our last. And just to give this a little bit something more to slide on. Now then, just to keep it from moving, I got some wide head, probably 1.5 inch screws. These are probably not the right thing for this, but you know what? We're going to keep it from moving nonetheless. But at the same time, we're not going to screw the sheet metal down in the process. We're going to put them in at an angle. We're doing this so that when we have another blowout, it doesn't necessarily rip this metal. It'll just pull it away from the screw. And I say when because, you know, if you've ever owned a vehicle, blowouts are almost inevitable. I don't particularly care for this stuff. I've used it before, but given that we have the water barrier here, the moisture barrier is blown away. We're missing a piece of the fiberglass right here, which will probably pop that out. Yeah, see right there? It blew some of the fiberglass off the side. And we got damage here, which is exposing the floor. We're gonna go ahead and use, yes, that stuff. I've had bad experiences with this in the past, but it seems for this application, it may be the right application. I hope. We'll see. Because the head's pulled through this plastic, I need to expand on that a little. So what I did was I found some number 6 zinc washers. So these washers, when I put them on the screw, are a very tight fit. But more importantly, they're bigger than the head of the screw. So they're going to help hold this on here. And we're going to work our way down till we get to the last 4, which don't have any solid material behind them. And then we'll revisit that. Now this is where people are going to freak out. We're still going to use the washer and we're still going to use the screw, but the problem is the aluminum that this goes into is basically blown out, so we're not going to be able to get it torqued down at all. See? So if we were to go like that, that screw would work its way out on the highway and we would end up losing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a washer out of zip ties. We're just going to basically go up there behind it, leave the tag on it, use the tag to help hold it, and that's going to hold it on there. But more importantly, when and if this happens again, it's not going to be so much pressure that it's going to blow the, it's going to rip the aluminum apart for this lower end. Since I don't really have good visibility on that one. You probably have a better view of this than I do right now. There we go. Alright, well, with the fender flare back on there, doesn't look great, but it looks better than it did without the flare. Alright, time has elapsed, and if you can tell by looking over my shoulder, we've gone full redneck. Yep, campers on blocks. I left the spare on there so that there's at least a little bit of something to keep it from going back and forth. But other than that, I got jack stands on the other 3. I didn't film taking the tires off because, well, you jack up the vehicle, you take your lug nuts off, you pull your tires, you throw them in your truck, you take them up to the store, you get the tires swapped out, and you bring them back. Here's our new tires. They're the same size as the old ones. They're 10 ply load range E. We could have gone to a load range G potentially, but we would have had to have the tires mounted, fit under the camper, check for clearances, and then we would have either kept them or had to take them back, and that was just too much hassle. Not to mention the camper came with load range E. The load range E worked fine right up until the blowout, but I'll get into the bad tires here in a minute. But also, while I'm thinking of it, some people don't believe in it, but we went ahead and got these tires balanced. Yes, we got our trailer tires balanced. When I was in business, I was going through a set of tires every year on the trailer. Well, I was able to go every year and a half, so an extra 6 months and a lot of miles when I started having the tires balanced. So now, I just go ahead and get the tires balanced. It does make a difference on tire longevity. I think it's $8 a tire to get them balanced. It's $12.50 to get these tires mounted. So the price is really negligible, but the time that you get out of the tires is significant. Yeah, my primary trailer when I was in business is our 7x14 dump trailer. And I put 100,000 miles on the Ford that I had in 2 to 3 years, and a good portion of that mileage was towing that dump trailer. I think I went through 2 going on the 3rd set of tires when I sold it just before the pandemic. So I was probably getting 30,000 miles out of a set of trailer tires. Also, I use a bottle jack when jacking up a camper, just for the simple fact that a standard car jack has wheels on it and wants to roll. Well, guess what? Doing this on the ground, those wheels on those jacks don't like to roll. So I just go with the simpler of the 2 methods, which is good old-fashioned bottle jack. And at this point, let's go ahead and cure. Let's go ahead and inhale a bug. All right. So at this point, let's go ahead and cure our redneck and get our house off jacks. We're not going to cure the redneck now. So this is the tire that we had the problem with. You can see all the belts are coming out. It's blown out there. It's pretty well toast the whole way around. That's the tire that blew out. And no, we didn't get it on camera. We don't film every mile going down the interstate. Probably would have been good if we had, but... This is the tire that's right behind it. I don't know if you can see it, but right here, there's a slight bulging across the tread. Also, this entire side is worn down rather significantly, but it's not worn evenly. So if you look here, well, see the ripples? Come back around to that. But if we go up here, it's just cupped. And there's a lot of tread on the center, but not on the outside. So what I think is happening here is what you see here. See how these come across like this? I think the belt in this one is starting to do this underneath the tread. Ultimately, that's why we're replacing all 4. This tire is definitely on its way out. I knew that when we changed out this tire. I was concerned that this tire wasn't going to make it the rest of the way back, but thankfully it did. Well, these 2 tires are going into our tire pile that someday we'll get around to taking to the recyclers. Now, these 2 tires are still looking pretty good. There's not a whole lot of uneven wear. I don't see any major bulges or splits or anything. And just as a comparison, this is the new tire. Not that it really matters, different tread pattern and all that. So these tires are going to be spare spares. What do I mean by that? Back here, in what our neighbor refers to as our junk pile, I have my spare tire for the dump trailer. Well, as you can see, you've got tread separation there. She's pretty much completely flat, but even after a couple years, she'll still hold air. Well, holding air is nice, but being able to use it going down the road at a significant speed would be nice, or an insignificant speed, just being able to go down the road. What I'm going to be doing in a future video is taking one of those tires that's still good, and I'm going to be swapping it onto this rim and putting this tire in the scrap yard, and then taking the other tire and throwing it back here. I'm just going to take this spare, throw it in the back of the truck, or if I'm taking the dump trailer, throw this spare in the back of the truck, so that we have two spares with us when we go down the road. As far as the failure of that tire, I'm pretty sure I know what happens, and it's a two-part thing. The OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, and I don't care if you're talking about Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Dodge, Nissan, Cruiser RV, Winnebago. If you get a baseline vehicle, you get a baseline tire. They're the cheapest tires they can get so that they can save money. The truck has a set of those on there. They're Rhodians by Nexen. Never heard of them. They're good tires till they aren't. So these were good tires until they weren't. So we're replacing them with a better tire. The second part of that is these tires are Chinese tires. So if you've never heard of it, this is what a Chinese tire bomb looks like when it goes off. And yes, you can hear it at 70 miles an hour from the driver's seat of the truck all the way back there when it blew. I heard it, Diana heard it, it's a tire bomb. The third part to this is actually our fault. This tire here and this tire here were on the same side. They were also on the sunny side. So where we normally park the camper, and you've probably seen it in past videos, is up under the power line. So these two tires were facing south. These two tires did not turn for close to 2 years. So the hot and cold cycles, the sun on them, basically dry rotted them, heated them up, so that the tread separated from the radials. And I don't think the radials were that good in the first place. And ultimately that's what led to that tire's demise. With these new tires, we will be re-tackling that issue very soon. I got an idea we're gonna do, but that's not gonna be today. Today I've rambled long enough. So I'm gonna shut up now, swap out the last tire. Well, swap our spare tire out and put the spare tire away so that, you know, we're good to go. Hopefully before it's dark too, because I gotta catch chickens tonight. We got chickens going to market tomorrow. We're all done. We got all 4 tires on there. Oh, and I didn't explain it before. The reason I replaced all 4 because, well, one had to, the second one needed to. And at that point, just get the other 2. That way you don't have to worry about those having the same problems that the first 2 did. But we got all the tires on. Spare tire tucked back up underneath, locked in. We're good. We got our floor fixed. But other than that, time to drain the tank and get her somewhat winterized. And I also understand we haven't done a whole lot of homestead stuff lately. We got some homestead stuff going on, but well, this is our life. So sometimes our life isn't just homestead. And that's one of the things when we started watching YouTube, we're like, well, how are we going to differentiate from other people? Well, the big one is, see, the homesteaders, all they do is homestead. They don't really vacation. They take a day or 2 here, but other than that, they're on the homestead all the time. So we've found ways that we can still maintain some of the stuff that we liked to do before we started homesteading, and some of the stuff we're going to continue to do now that we have a baby. Because as much as we enjoy homesteading, it's still work, and you need to recharge your batteries every once in a while. Take some you time, take some us time, because it's not just me, it's Hun, it's the baby, it's me. You know, sometimes it's Blue, she wants to get out of the house too. So take some you time, and that's what we film. It's us time. But this is our life, so we're gonna film it. Had to replace tires, and at almost $900 for tires. Anyhow, that's what differentiates us. We're doing stuff that we like to do and stuff to help improve the homestead. And yes, The sawmill is in the garage, so if this video comes out before that one, you got a sawmill video coming up. So that's kind of homestead, isn't it? Anyhow, hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and you'll see us on the next video. Maybe we'll see you.